Last time we took a look at superheroes who had yet to be publicly unmasked. But on part 2 of this list, I wanted to look at superheroes who have yet to have their identity revealed to readers, or in some cases have yet to know who they truly are, and have gone without their own true identity in the comics for quite a while. These characters have been steeped in mystery, and it may have taken us years to figure out who they are, or we may not even know yet. In fact, we may never know some of their identities. So much intrigue. So join me as we explore some of the comic book world's most secretive and mysterious characters, as we count down the top 10 superheroes whose identity has never been revealed. Part 2. That's right, part 2. So if you haven't checked out our part 1, which explores characters whose identities remain a secret to the general in-comic public, be sure to check it out. Also, be sure to stick around till the end of this video where I will have some bonus content coming your way. Alright, let's get counting. Number 10. Wolverine. Okay, so sure, we do know who Wolverine is. He is Logan. He is James Howlett. We know. But Wolverine doesn't know. Well, I mean, he does, but it took him a while to remember, okay? Okay, allow me to explain. But Wolverine may know who he is now, he didn't always, and in fact, neither did we. Wolverine has been around in the comics since the 1970s, but it wasn't until around the early 2000s that we got to know who he truly was. This was also because even Logan had forgotten due to trauma he suffered in his past. Logan's healing factor essentially gives him amnesia sometimes. This is how he is able to live through so many traumatic events, and trust me, he has lived through a ton of trauma, like a lot. Who knows how much of his past could still even be lost to us, or other identities that he lived in. He actually fathered a bunch of children and seems to have forgotten that, so. His brain seeks to mentally heal him from any horrific memories by essentially causing him to forget them. But beyond that, Wolverine has been alive since the 1800s, so I mean it's no surprise that he may have forgotten some things. He's pretty old in actuality, and therefore it makes sense that we didn't know until, like, years and years later. Number 9. Black Noir. While we may have uncovered the secret identity of the Black Noir in the comics, it took us a long time to actually get there. For a long time, no one knew who Black Noir was or where he came from, which actually made him way more terrifying. He was silent, often fully covered, and his identity remained a mystery. We eventually found out that he was the crazed clone of fellow 7 member Homelander, tasked with taking out the original version of himself should Homelander step out of line. But we have yet to know if the same identity will apply to the character in the Amazon Prime series. There have been some notable differences from the comic and the series, and the actor who plays Black Noir is not the same one that plays Homelander. Anthony Starr plays Homelander, while Black Noir is currently played by Nathan Mitchell. Only time will tell if the show will follow suit, but for now, the identity of Black Noir in the TV series still remains a mystery. Number 8. Impossible Man. Impossible Man is more imp than hero really, but he has helped out the Fantastic Four on a few occasions and attempted to save planet Earth from Galactus, so I'm going to let him claim superhero status for his attempts at heroism in this video. He often behaves like a small child, needing attention and becoming obsessed with television at one point. But unlike a small human child, he has no real identity. What? As such, his identity can never really be revealed, as it does not exist. Impossible Man hails from the planet Pop-Up, which does not use names. Impossible Man claims that on his planet, his people just simply know who they are. I guess on Pop-Up, knowing who you are is all that matters, and whether or not someone else knows who you are is a moot point. His identity will forever remain a mystery, as it doesn't really exist in the same way that our Earthling identities exist. You know, where we have names and stuff. Number 7. Bloodshot. While many may think they know Bloodshot's identity, the truth is no one really does. Bloodshot was manipulated by Project Rising Spirit into working for them as a super soldier. The process he underwent, whether he agreed to it or not is still unknown, to become a superpowered soldier involved filling his bloodstream with tiny nanites, which granted him an enhanced healing factor and allowed him to shapeshift, but also kind of wiped his memory, so the story goes. Project Rising Spirit then decided to give their soldier memories of different backstories during missions to help motivate him, meaning he never really knew who he was and thought a lot of the times that he was actually personally invested in those missions, when he sorta wasn't. And he wasn't even aware that they were manipulating him this way for quite a while. When he did eventually uncover this secret, he turned on them, aiming to retrieve his true identity. He currently believes that he is likely Ray Garrison, though even the truth he managed to uncover has later been brought into question in terms of if the information he has can even be trusted. So who knows who he is? Is he Ray Garrison? Number 6. The Question. Not Vic Savage, who we evidently do know, but the Question of the New 52. This version of the Question is part of the Trinity of Sin, and his identity has yet to be revealed. The 7 Wizards of the Rock of Eternity decide to pull up 3 of the worst sinners in Earth's history to judge. Why? I don't know, just for fun I guess. What else are wizards supposed to do to pass their time? The Question was one of the people they brought forth, but he was not intimidated and claimed that regardless of the punishment, if they let him live, he would just rise to power again, cause some mayhem, and make the wizards regret punishing him to begin with. The wizards were obviously none too pleased, so they erased his name from his mind and wiped it from history, and wiped his features off of his face as well. Note to self, do not get on the bad side of the 7 wizards. Dolphin. Dolphin is a DC superhero you may know through her connections to Aquaman and Aqualad, who she has both teamed up with and been a romantic interest of. For both heroes, actually. As a young girl, she fell off of a cruise ship and was saved from drowning by a mysterious alien race. The aliens used her as a test subject and altered Dolphin so that she could survive underwater. She spent most of her adolescent life underwater away from Atlantean culture or humanity, and it was revealed that she was mute when rescued from a shark attack by an oceanography crew. She eventually learned sign language and later learned how to speak, though she never really seemed to be able to recall her original identity or her parents, only ever being known in the comics as Dolphin. She doesn't even really like to talk that much. She's pretty shy. Number 4. Phantom Stranger. The Phantom Stranger is an entity whose original identity has never been revealed. Pre-New 52 reboot, anyways. Even the character's backstory seemed to be a wash in his original incarnation, as we all had theories in regards to how the Phantom Stranger came into their power. Most of the stories suggested that the Phantom Stranger's powers derive from a religious heritage, and that often the time he has spent on Earth was part of some kind of penitence or punishment. One story suggested that the Phantom Stranger's origins could actually be based more in the cosmos, and that he was the remains of a previous universe who had passed on his powers to one of the scientists who ended up viewing the end of the universe which he originated from. With the new relaunch, we'll likely never know the original Phantom Stranger's identity. Now he's just Judas. Number 3. Hooded Justice. Coming to us from the original Minutemen out of Watchmen, Hooded Justice was known for being the first masked vigilante. He maintained a secret identity even with his fellow Minutemen. No one truly knew who the Hooded Justice was. A brutal vigilante, all that we know is that he was likely German. Hooded Justice was a violent vigilante who was also secretly gay. So many secrets! He ended up having a relationship with fellow hero Captain Metropolis, but even then did not disclose his identity, not even to Nelson. Originally, it was thought that Hooded Justice disappeared to avoid the government's mandatory unmasking policy for all known vigilantes. This, however, turned out to be untrue. In reality, it was comedians' plot to frame Hooded Justice for child murders, which led to his death at the hands of the original Night Owl. Number 2. The Female of the Species. The Female of the Species is part of the vigilante group looking to take down the 7, the boys. This Dynamite comic book character's true identity has not really been fully explored in the comics or in the television series. What we do know is that the female has superhuman strength and a compulsion to kill. While she's a good person, she will even harm her friends if made to feel uncomfortable. She was originally thought to be mute, but has on occasion spoken. They thought she had no tongue, but then she spoke. I don't know. She received her powers as a small child after she was brought into her mother's work and left unattended, where she crawled into a bucket and was thereby exposed to Compound V. The small child killed many people at the facility before she was apprehended and spent a good amount of her life in captivity, heavily sedated. Number 1. Judge Dredd. Okay, so here's the thing with Judge Dredd. We do know his identity, Joseph Dredd, and yet his identity also eludes us in terms of his facelessness. He has never been unmasked. Or I mean, that's not really true. What I should say is that even when he has been unmasked, the audience was not privy to seeing his true face. Even when he's been unmasked, his face has been censored. Why? Because John Wagner, co-creator of Dredd, preferred it that way. Wagner wanted Dredd to represent justice, and the fact that you never see his face is supposed to symbolize how impartial Dredd is, the facelessness of justice. To Wagner, justice should have no face, no soul. And this has actually become a rule in Judge Dredd comics, one that was sadly broken in the 90s film Judge Dredd. JK, apparently Sylvester Stallone was Dredd the whole time. Thank you so much for watching, Nerd Squad. I hope you enjoyed delving into some of these more mysterious mysterious heroes and their lack of identities with me. Who do you think is the most mysterious character in comics? Are there any other superheroes who have yet to have their identity revealed to readers? Do you prefer your characters to have a wealth of secrets, or do you prefer to know like everything about them? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're on your way down there, be sure to like, subscribe, and give that bell a ring-a-ling. You know I love it when you do. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight, reminding you to stay nerdy, YouTube. Oh, and watch out for that bonus content. Dolphin is a DC superhero who you may know through her connections to Aquaman and Aqualad. Aqualad? What was that? Mysteries. These are the questions. I love when comics just retcon people's backstories. Asking with taking. What will happen? You'll have to watch on Amazon Prime. Sounds like this is not a sponsored video. However, remain a mystery, as it doesn't really exist in the same way we Earthlings. The Phantom Stranger is an entity whose original identity, entity and identity, and makes some wizards regret punishing him to begin with. And make some wizards? Is that what I just said? The wizards. Not just some wizards. These are the wizards. The only ones. There's probably more wizards in DC actually.